Hi and welcome to this tutorial where I'm going to be teaching you how to make these amazing reusable and sustainable alternatives to cotton pads. So don't forget to like and subscribe because I've got loads more eco-friendly tutorials coming up. Anyway, back to our cotton pads. I'm so excited about this tutorial because they are so easy to make. Even if you're a beginner crocheter, I'm going to take you through slowly and step by step how to make these 3 different sizes of reusable cotton pads. So either you can make a few of one size or you can make the mixture of sizes like I have here. Like I said before, these are reusable, so you can just throw them in the wash or hand wash them once you've used them, and that is going to massively reduce the number of cotton pads that we're throwing away every day. And when they've reached the end of their life, they are also fabric recyclable or compostable, so they are very eco-friendly products. So for this tutorial, you are going to need some cotton yarn, and I would recommend getting something that is 100% cotton because this is just going to be much softer on your skin, and it will also mean that your scrubbies are washer and dryer safe, so that makes life easier. Next, you need your crochet hook. Here I'm using a 4.5mm hook. I would suggest using a relatively small hook, no more than 5mm, because this is going to make the stitches quite dense on your cotton pad and mean that it's more absorbent. So also you need some scissors, and a stitch marker is helpful but not absolutely essential. And then finally a darning needle for weaving in the ends. So to get started, we are going to make a magic ring. And if you haven't made one before, I'm going to put a link to my tutorial for absolute beginners, which will take you through really slowly, step by step, because it can be a little bit fiddly. If you have made one before, here's a quick refresher. So you're going to make the X on your palm, bring your hook under and over the top part of the cross and rotate, and then yarn over that top left part of the next cross and pull your hook through. And then we are going to single crochet 6 into the magic ring. So bring your hook through the ring, yarn over and pull it round, and then yarn over on top of the ring and pull it through. And just repeat this 5 times. This is the last stitch in the ring, and you can see you should now have 6 V's, which when you pull your magic ring closed will sit on the outside of the magic ring ready to work into, and we're working in the round here, so we're going to be working into these V's that are now sitting nicely around the ring that we've just made. So the first thing that we're going to do is do an increase stitch in the first stitch to the left of the hook. And an increase stitch is essentially 2 single crochet into the same stitch. So to single crochet, you want to insert your hook below the V, and then you should be able to see the 2 V's on top of your hook, and then the rest of the magic ring will sit below your hook. Then bring your hook down and away from you to grab that yarn, that's called yarning over, and pull through the V. So you should now have 2 loops on your hook. Yarn over again and pull through those 2 loops on your hook. I'm going to repeat that again, going back into the same stitch that we were just working in. So insert your hook, yarn over by bringing the yarn back to front, pull through the V, and then yarn over again by bringing the yarn back to front, and pull your hook through those 2 loops on the hook. And we're just going to repeat that 5 more times. So insert your hook into the next stitch, yarn over, pull through, yarn over and pull through, and then going back into the same stitch that you were just working in, yarn over, pull through, yarn over and pull through. And then moving on to the third stitch, you're doing the first single crochet and then going back into that same stitch that you just worked into, you're putting another single crochet in there. And then just repeating that for the fourth stitch. And then inserting your hook back in and doing that second single crochet. And then again for the fifth stitch, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through. And again, back into that same stitch. And this is the last stitch in the round, so we're going to do one last increasing stitch. That's the first single crochet, and then we're putting the second one in. And that's the end of the second round. So now's a good time to really tighten up that magic ring by pulling the loose end of yarn. And you should have 12 stitches in this round, so you can count the V's and make sure that you've got the right number. So at this point I like to just add a stitch marker just in case I lose track. Again, like I said, it's not absolutely necessary, but I just find it really helpful, especially if you're a beginner and you're not used to counting your stitches. I actually used to use an old charm that I had lying around, which would do the job. So for the next round, we are going to be putting a single crochet into the first stitch, and then we're going to do an increase stitch into the second. And we're just going to repeat that all the way around. So we're going to repeat that 2-stitch configuration 6 times until we get to the end of the round. So first is the single crochet, so like we did before, but we're just putting 1 into that stitch, and then move on to the next stitch where we're putting 2 single crochets in there, 1 and 2, and we're going to repeat that 5 more times around until we get to the end of our round. So 1 single crochet and then 2 single crochet into the next stitch. One single crochet and then 2 into this one, so going back into the same stitch that we were just working in, and just repeating this 3 more times. And this is the last stitch in your round, and you should have 18 stitches now round the outside. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. So that's the end of round 3. Now moving on to round 4, we are going to do 1 single crochet, 1 single crochet, and then increase stitch. And we're just going to repeat that 3-stitch configuration 6 times until we get to the end of the round. So the first stitch is a single crochet, and then move to the next stitch, which is also a single crochet, and then the third stitch in the configuration is this increase stitch, so we're putting 2 single crochet in here, going back into that same stitch, And then we're just going to repeat this 5 more times. So single crochet, increase stitch, and I will meet you back at the end of this round. And this is the last stitch of the round. You can tell both because that's where your stitch marker is, and also because you should have 24 stitches around. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, the edge now. And this is the small size of our cotton pad. So if you want to just finish here, then skip forward and I'll show you how to fasten off and weave in the ends. But if you want to carry on and make the medium size, then we're going to do a 4-stitch configuration. So single crochet, single crochet, single crochet, and then the increase stitch. And we're just going to repeat that 6 times around. So single crochet, single crochet, 3rd single crochet, and then the increase stitch. So that's the 1st single crochet going in, and then the 2nd one. So you're going to do that configuration 5 more times until we reach the end of the round. So that's 3 single crochets into the first 3 stitches, and then the increase stitch into the 4th stitch. And I'll meet you at the end of the round. Okay, so this is the last increase in the round. So 1 and going back into the same stitch. And that's the end of round 5. So you can see that from the stitch marker, but also you should have 30 stitches around your cotton pad. And this is the medium size cotton pad. So again, if you want to finish here, then skip forward and I'll show you how to fasten off and weave in the ends. If you want to continue to the large size, then we're going to do single crochet, single crochet, single crochet, single crochet, and then the increased stitch. So that's 4 single crochets and then an increased stitch in the 5th stitch. So I'll take you through that. 1 single crochet, 2, 3, and 4 in the first 4 stitches, and then the increased stitch in the 5th stitch here. And again, like we've done in the previous rounds, we are just going to repeat that 5-stitch configuration. So 4 single crochets in the first 4 stitches and then the increased stitch in the 5th stitch. We're going to repeat that 5 times. So here we're on the 2nd time. And this is the increased stitch. And now we're going to repeat that 4 more times to complete the round. So this is the last stitch of the final round, and this is the large size of cotton pad. So you should have 36 stitches around the outside here. And now we just need to fasten off. And in order to do that, we are going to do a slip stitch into the next stitch. So insert your hook and yarn over like you would for a normal single crochet. But then you are just going to pull that loop straight through the loop on your hook. And then just yarn over and pull through to create a knot. So you're fastened off. All you need to do now is take your scissors and cut, leaving a small tail, which we're going to weave in now. So you can just use your hook to pull that tail through, and that's created a knot there, so it's not going to come undone. And then just take your darning needle and use that to weave that loose end in, like so. And I find that if you then pull the thread quite tight before you snip, that makes sure that there are no kind of loose ends hanging out. So you can just cut the yarn, and then when you straighten out the cotton, you can see that that yarn is just kind of disguised and it won't come undone. Remove your stitch marker, that's always important, don't forget to do that. And then you can just weave in the other end like we did with the first one. So there you have it, your 3 different sizes of cotton pad alternatives. I really hope you enjoyed this tutorial. Please like and subscribe if you did, because I've got lots more eco-friendly crochet projects coming up. Thanks again for watching, and see you soon.